What's up, proletariat? So today we're talking about the Smith machine, and this is a video that I never thought I would ever make. As recently as a couple of years ago, I was vehemently against the use of the Smith machine, and honestly I looked down at most people using it. And it turns out that was a big mistake because it is a fine piece of equipment. I'm not saying you should spend all of your time on the Smith machine, but it's not that bad. So in this video, we're going to go over a few different movements, not a ton, just a few that I actually have found to have a great amount of utility and are actually better than their entirely free weight cousins. Now, I think it's important to realize that a Smith machine, it is just a barbell that has a fixed path. This might be completely vertical, it might be at a slight angle, but that's all it is. There's no stigma attached, there's no dogma attached. It just is a tool that you can use or not use. So the first movement that I've been using for, about a month and a half is a Smith machine hack squat. So normally when you are barbell back squatting, the weight has to stay more or less over the middle of your foot. If it's drifting too far forward or too far backwards, you'll just fall over. Don't do that. However, in a Smith machine, because the bar path is fixed, you can actually put your feet a little bit in front and effectively push slightly backwards. Now, you might find that you need to stabilize the machine somewhat, otherwise you will quite literally push the machine over, especially if your feet are too far in front. So you're going to want to put like plates nearby or somehow to stabilize the machine, especially if you find that it is moving. But still, the ability to put your feet out in front can make the lift much more quad dominant. If you have longer femurs, maybe you're a little bit of a taller lifter, you might find that you don't get very much from the barbell back squat. It's a good lift overall, but if you're not really built for it, you're probably going to find that your hips are going to want to shift back, your instinct is going to be to good morning the weight, and you might even find that it's just too much lower back and not enough quadriceps. So if you want to actually build big legs, this is probably going to be superior, especially for taller lifters. And I actually started doing this movement because I injured my QL like 4 months ago and I couldn't barbell back squat heavy, so I had to seek alternatives. And so in some weird perverted way, getting injured was actually an opportunity because it forced me to try something new. And I can say unequivocally, for me, this is actually a better quad movement. Hands down, in pretty much every way, it is better specifically for the quads. The way I set it up was that I put a couple of mats in front of me. The farther mat was a little bit higher and pushing against the actual Smith machine, the far side of it, and the nearer mat was a little bit lower, and this allowed me to push forward. It's that forward pushing that is actually going to engage more quadriceps, and that forward pushing is just not possible with a barbell back squat.
Why isn't it possible?
You would fall on your ass.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Because again, you would fall on your ass. Or you would die. Now, I actually found that not going as deep was actually better. It resulted in more stimulation, more gains. By going too deep, it was actually more adductors, more glutes, and reversing the movement off of the quads in a half squat or a little bit deeper kind of position was actually better. You'll also want some way to make sure that your feet are always in the same position, because the further you put them out in front, the more quad dominant it's going to be, but also the lighter that you'll have to go. So if one session your feet are here, the next session they're here, the next session they're here, and the next session are here, that difference, even if it's only a few inches, is going to make a huge difference in your levels of strength, and it is absolutely going to impact your apparent levels of progression. So keep them fixed, keep them in the same spot, experiment a little bit to find where you are most comfortable, but once you have it down, keep it in that same position so that you have consistent technique. Movement number 2 is the Smith machine reverse grip bench press. I absolutely adore this movement, and it is absolutely in my top 5 for chest movements. A lot of people think that if it is an incline or flat or decline, this is going to be the main determinant of if it is upper or middle or lower chest. I actually find that your arm position is going to be at least as important, if not more important. So So the reason that a reverse grip is more upper chest is because you are tucking the elbows more, and the forces are just aligned more with that upper chest. So if you're bench pressing out here, you can even feel it. Like, it's not that much upper chest, but when you tuck and you squeeze, wow. Now, of course, you can do these with a normal bar in a normal-ass bench without a Smith machine, but I find that the whole unracking and re-racking thing is just a huge pain. It really is. And normally when you have a normal grip, it's easy to unrack, but when you have it like this, you can't use your hand to get it out because your hand is reversed, hence reverse grip, and therefore getting it out is just a huge pain. But with a Smith machine, it's a lot easier because it's already in the position that you want it. You don't have to take it out, it's already there. Now, it is a little bit of a pain in the ass because you have to rotate it out of the actual rack, but that's not too bad, and you can absolutely get used to it, and I would say overall this is preferred to having to actually physically take it out of the rack. So I would rather rotate it a little bit rather than trying to take it out. Plus, the fixed bar path does seem to be quite nice. You don't have to worry about, going up and down and trying to, optimize that. You just can focus on pushing. Again, this is probably not going to be like a good powerlifting accessory, but for the chesticles, wow. You can also go to failure more easily and more safely. I mean, with any kind of free weight bench press with a barbell, you're probably not going to want to go to failure unless you have a spotter. I usually train alone. I never use a spotter. And therefore, having a Smith machine where I can just fail is actually quite nice. And often, I actually found that I could just keep going and going and going with the Smith machine reverse grip bench press, where I had like 3, 4, 5 reps more than I actually thought, and I was actually holding back too much with the free weight. Now, some people did ask me, can I combine a reverse grip with an incline? Presumably, this one is good for upper chest, this one is good for upper chest. Can I just combine them for even more upper chest? I don't see why not. I think this actually could be a good option. I haven't tried it, so I can't really say for sure, but I would say on paper, it sounds viable. Speaking of incline, that is another good option. Again, I didn't try it out, but it is a tried and true favorite of a lot of very, very good lifters. And just because it is not a free weight does not mean it is useless. It is a nice complement to free weight.
Well, you're looking all sorts of good.
So I wouldn't use exclusively the Smith machine for your incline work or your pressing work, but it could be a good addition. I do know some people like them for triceps work, so skull crushers or jam presses or something like that. I tried them a little bit. I didn't like them. Maybe I'll revisit them at some point. For me personally, I take a long time to get moving with a movement, and so I don't like to introduce a bunch of movements at the same time because then I don't know what is actually working. So if you can adapt to the movement more quickly, maybe you can add in a few different ones. But for me, I only add in one movement per movement pattern or per area at a time. Can you deadlift or do RDLs on a Smith machine? I don't see why not, but I also don't see why. It is something that I tried out when I was rehabbing the QL, which I'm still kind of rehabbing, but I don't see the point in doing that. I don't see why it would have any particular benefit. It's not like the Smith machine hack squat where you can actually have some kind of nice leverage isolation advantage. It's kind of just the same but worse, so why do it? Same thing for the hip thrust. I've seen some people thrusting away in there. I don't really see the advantage of doing that. It just seems like maybe it's easier to set up for some reason, but probably not the best use of that machine. I do, however, think that maybe single leg work could be a good option here, just because they are already inherently unstable. And you could argue that's the benefit of doing them, and so a Smith machine is worse, it's reducing that. But I could also see the argument that, you want stability to just focus in on that one leg and to feel the muscles working. Now, would anyone ever do curls in the Smith machine? I would say no. That doesn't make any...
You're going to curl this up and throw it as high as you can.
Jim Stepani, no! Some people have said that barbell rows are a thing, or shrugs. Shrugs I could see because a fixed bar path is completely fine, no worries there. But for me personally, when I'm doing a Yates row or a barbell row or something like that, I like to have the ability to move my body, to move the barbell, etc. So I would say this is probably not the best option, but feel free to give it a shot. I do think that calf raises are a good option here. You can do them seated or you can do them standing. Either way, you probably don't want to have to worry about the barbell rolling around or drifting or anything like that, and you can just focus on having the calves do the work. So I would say this is a good option for sure. And remember, just because you're using a Smith machine does not make you worse than anyone else.
Most of the time, the people who use the Smith machine are noobs, so you can just bully them out of the way. Smoke them with your gains, just go like this. Look at them like this. Like this. They're just going to run away. They're just going to run away, you're going to be fine. And then you can do your chin-ups in peace, you can do more gains, etc., etc.
So definitely try out the hack squats and the reverse grip bench presses. I think as long as I have access to a Smith machine, those are going to be in my rotation of excellent movements. For more juicy information about proper programming practices, definitely grab a copy of my book. It will help you a lot in your fitness journey and just help you get more out of the effort that you put into the gym. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
You're going to curl this up and throw it as high as you can.